Okay, so now that our game loop is kind of, the basics of it are here in place, we're going to add some score into the game. And look, before we actually add some code to keep track of our score, the first thing we need to do is have a way of displaying the score on the screen. So what we're going to do is go to game object up here, and then UI, and then text. And what that does is it'll create a text object on a canvas within the world. And the way canvases by default in Unity get displayed is as this huge big massive object here, and we've got our text object as this little object down here in the corner. And if we click and drag this our text object into this canvas area, basically what happens is, although this is a big massive huge thing here, if we switch over to our game view, it actually just overlays the same bit of screen into our normal game view screen, which is perfectly fine, but it's kind of a slightly counterintuitive kind of way of doing it. We're instead going to keep it nice and simple, and what we're going to do is we're going to go to our canvas here, and we're going to, instead of having render mode be overlay on the screen space, we're going to set it to be world space, like this. So what that does is it creates it as a real object within the world at the size it's at, which is obviously quite big. It's not very helpful for us. So what I'm going to do is scale this down quite a bit to about that size. Then I'm going to click and drag it over our normal little view here. I'm going to make it a little bit smaller again, so it's kind of roughly about the size of our level. A little bit bigger than our level is perfectly fine. And then what we're going to do is, with our little bit of a text object here, we're going to make some adjustments to that so it's visible within our game. So in our game view, we've got our text, little bit of text here like this. We're going to make it so that this is a bit more visible, because at the moment it's very, very dark, which is not very useful to us. So on our inspector, we're going to scroll over here and go down to color. I'm going to make this a nice color of white. We're going to make the alignment of it in the center of the object. Then I'm going to adjust the size of this object to make it a little bit bigger, because at the moment it's quite small, like that. And I'm going to put this up at the top here, like this. We're going to change our text. So our very basic text is just going to say 0-0. So we're going to use that as a default for displaying how much the score is of each player. And then we're going to scroll up the font size to make it a bit bigger like this. And I'm just going to move that so it's kind of a bit more central with the line. And there we go. That's our basic score that we use to show our players. That's actually probably a little bit too big. We don't need it that big. So this will obviously be an object that isn't physically interactable within the world, but it's there and it's in place. The only other thing at the moment is it's kind of a little bit blurry. It's a little bit kind of weird looking. So if we go to our canvas, and if we go to here where it says dynamic pixels per unit, we're going to set this to be 2 instead of 1, and basically that just makes the little bit of text that little bit sharper, and it looks a bit nicer within our game. So that's our score display. Now let's add some code to add adjustments to it.